They threw a federal officer and her K-9 from a helicopter in the middle of a snowstorm. No parachute, no warning, no mercy. Emily Carter and her German Shepherd Ranger plummeted through the freezing darkness, falling towards certain death in the Cascade Mountains. But what happened next defied every law of survival. A reclusive veteran living alone in the wilderness heard the crash. What he found in the snow wasn't just two survivors. It was evidence of a conspiracy that powerful men would kill to bury. As armed mercenaries hunted through the blizzard to finish the job, Emily, Ranger, and the veteran faced an impossible choice: run and freeze, or fight and die. This is the story of a fall no one should survive, a rescue that shouldn't have happened, and a battle fought on the edge of a frozen cliff. Before we begin, tell us, where are you watching from? The winter night hung heavy over the Cascade Mountains. Inside a UH-60 Blackhawk helicopter slicing through darkness, Emily Carter sat bound at wrists and ankles, back pressed against cold metal. At 31, Emily was a federal officer, medium height, athletic build, dark brown hair in a tight braid. Her hazel eyes, sharp from years of law enforcement, now flickered with fear. Bruises stained her cheekbone from refusing to betray intel hours earlier. Beside her lay Ranger, her 5-year-old German Shepherd K-9 partner, large, broad-shouldered, with intelligent amber eyes that never stopped calculating. He'd been sedated earlier, but was now shaking off the effects, pressing against Emily protectively. Around them stood 3 men in unmarked tactical gear, faceless behind black helmets. These weren't simple criminals. They were professionals hired to erase problems quietly. The tallest operative stepped forward. Broad-shouldered, square-jaw, military bearing. His voice came flat. "We're approaching the drop." Drop. The word pierced Emily's spine. "You don't have to do this. If you're after information, we can talk. Killing a federal officer—" "Not killing," he interrupted coldly. "Cleaning up." Another operative cut the rope securing Ranger. The shepherd growled weakly, still dazed. Emily felt panic tighten around her lungs. The side door yawned open, letting in a blast of glacial wind. Snowflakes shot sideways like shards of broken glass. The horizon beyond was nothing but void, mountain shadows swallowed by night. The operatives grabbed her arms. Emily thrashed. Ranger lunged, teeth bared, but a boot pinned him down. "Please," Emily choked out. "He's just a dog. He's innocent." For a fraction of a second, the operative paused. Something flickered behind the visor, then it vanished. He sliced the harness strap. Emily felt gravity shift. Ranger barked, raw, desperate. Then 2 sets of hands shoved. The world fell away. The scream never left her lips. The air ripped it from her throat. The cold hit like a wall. Ranger tumbled beside her, limbs flailing as they plummeted through suffocating night. Wind roared so violently it drowned thought. Emily forced her arms open, twisting toward Ranger. Her thick federal-issue jacket caught air, slowing descent by mere fractions. She grabbed Ranger mid-fall, wrapping around him, angling her body to take the brunt. Branches exploded around them. Pain, white blinding, shot through her shoulder. Ranger yelped. The world flipped, slammed, swallowed them. Then came the snowbank, a deep, hidden pocket beneath trees. The impact drove breath from her lungs but saved her life. Emily lay buried, ears ringing, vision blurred, taste of iron in her mouth. Ranger whimpered against her chest, alive but hurt. The helicopter's distant rotor faded into winter silence. They had survived the impossible fall, but the cold night was only beginning. Miles away, Ethan Walker heard the sharp thump of helicopter rotors cutting through the storm. At 43, Ethan was a former Ranger, 6 feet tall, broad shoulders, beard streaked with gray, deep-set blue eyes holding shadows from a mission gone wrong 15 years earlier when he lost 2 teammates. Since then, he'd chosen solitude, letting the forest be his only witness. Then came the sickening crash deeper in the woods. He grabbed his flashlight and hunting rifle. "Yeah, boy," he murmured to Dakota, his aging 12-year-old husky. "We're going out." Dakota bounded ahead through knee-deep snow. Ethan followed, reading the land. Broken branches, disturbed snow, the scent of impact. Half a mile from his cabin, he found them. A woman lay half buried in snow, tangled in shattered branches. Her face, impossibly pale, lips tinged blue, dark braid covered in snowflakes, dried blood on her temple. Her coat torn, left shoulder at an unnatural angle. Her badge hung from a torn loop. Emily Carter, federal officer. Beside her, a German shepherd, bleeding from the hind leg, struggled weakly to stand. He growled softly, not at Ethan, but at the pain. Ethan knelt slowly, palms open. "Easy, guy." Dakota stayed behind him. The shepherd sniffed Ethan, then collapsed beside the woman again. "She's your partner. Okay, we'll do this together." He checked her pulse, faint but steady. Federal. That meant trouble bigger than an aircraft crash, trouble that might be coming this way. He lifted her carefully against his chest. Then he scooped up the dog. The shepherd whined, but didn't resist. The wind clawed at them as they made their way back. Snow thickened until the world reduced to a circle of vision. Every few steps, Ethan scanned the tree line. Paranoia kept you alive. Tonight, it felt like certainty. Someone had dropped them, and people who executed mid-air disposal didn't leave witnesses. Inside his cabin, Ethan laid Emily on the bed and Ranger beside the wood stove. Dakota circled anxiously. Ethan worked with quiet urgency, immobilized her shoulder, cleaned blood, wrapped broken ribs, bandaged Ranger's leg. Only once did she wake halfway. "Ranger," she whispered. Ethan looked toward the shepherd. "He's here. He's okay." A tear slipped from her eye, relief heavy enough to break a hardened soul. Then she collapsed again. Then came a sound that chilled deeper than cold. Distant rotor blades, faint but undeniable, slicing the storm. Whoever dropped them was returning. Emily woke to pine scent and warmth. Her eyelids fluttered. A log ceiling sharpened. A fireplace crackled nearby. She tried to sit. "Ranger, where's Ranger?" A calm voice. "Easy, you're safe here." Ethan Walker sat in a wooden chair beside the bed. His rugged face, gray-bearded and weathered, held unexpected softness. "Ranger, my dog, where?" He tilted his head toward the hearth. Ranger lay on a quilt near the fire, bandaged leg visible. His chest rose steadily. Dakota sat protectively beside him. Emily sagged back, tears pricking her eyes. "Thank you." Ethan nodded once. "You want to tell me what happened?" Emily hesitated, but the warmth of the cabin and Ranger's breathing reminded her, without Ethan, she'd be frozen bones. "It started 3 weeks ago. My task force got intel on an interstate weapons ring moving military-grade hardware. We thought it was another cartel, but it wasn't. Who was running it? Marcus Hale." The name soured the air. Hale had been a decorated army captain, 6'2", cold gray eyes, calculated charm. When he left the military under misconduct, he shifted tactics into black market operations. Human lives became expendable variables. We found evidence he was moving prototype firearms stolen from a government contractor. When he realized I had the files, she shut her eyes. He sent a team dressed as federal extraction. My task force thought it was transport. Instead, they took me into the mountains, cut the harness, pushed us out. They didn't want a body found, just a story nobody questioned. Silence stretched. Emily looked up, hazel eyes burning. "They'll come back. They'll track the fall. They don't leave things undone." Ethan rose, his entire posture shifting from caretaker to soldier. "Then we need to prepare. If Hale's men are coming, they won't expect resistance." "I can help. I'm injured, but not useless." Ethan shook his head gently. "You're staying inside. I know how these men move." He took his rifle from the wall. Dakota trotted to his side. "Why are you helping us?" Ethan paused at the door. "Because someone once left me to die in the snow, and I swore no one I could save would ever end up like that." The wind outside rose in a long, mournful howl. The hunters were already on their way. By the time darkness fell, Ethan extinguished every lamp. He crouched beside Emily. "We move now, before they grid this place." "How many men would Hale send?" "Enough to make sure you never testify." He opened a trap door, a narrow crawl space descending into an old hunting tunnel. "This goes downhill through rock, quiet, cold, but safe for half a mile." They emerged into wider valley. Moonlight pooled over snow-laden branches. Ethan scanned the tree line, breathing in the night like it carried messages. He swept snow to hide tracks, broke branches at misleading angles, set wire snares with silent efficiency. Miles away, Vern Talbot, a raw-boned tracker in his late 50s with a face like cracked leather, knelt where Emily and Ranger had fallen. His gray-blonde beard was coarse, left eye clouded from an old hunting accident. She's alive, Vern muttered. Dog, too. Behind him stood two mercenaries. One with a shaved head and jagged scar spoke. You sure? Blood's fresh. Someone carried her. Someone strong. Hale wants confirmation. You'll have it. Back in the forest, Ethan was setting a final snare when Dakota's ears perked. Then Ranger growled. A branch snapped. Down, Ethan hissed, pulling Emily behind a fallen log. A silenced bullet sliced through air where they'd stood. Shapes moved between trees, 3 men in tactical pattern. Vern emerged behind them. Tracks end here. They're hiding close. The first mercenary approached Ethan's snare. His boot caught the wire, triggering a bent sapling that whipped upward, knocking him off his feet. Ethan fired once. The man went still. Ranger barked sharply. Another mercenary pivoted toward the dog, raising his rifle. Emily lunged sideways despite her injuries, throwing her weight into Ranger, covering him as the shot cracked into snow beside them. Ethan rolled behind a tree, firing again. The second mercenary dropped. Vern didn't panic. He stepped back, leveling a long-barreled revolver. Ranger staggered up, snarling. Vern steadied his aim. Then Dakota leapt between them, snarling with unexpected ferocity. Vern hesitated. Ethan fired. The tracker fell to one knee, clutching his bleeding arm. We're done here. Move! They fled through moonlit forest. Ahead, beyond the tree line, a jagged cliff appeared, the one place Ethan knew he could reach radio signals. Wind sharpened as they reached the cliff. An old metal radio mast stood half swallowed by frost. Ethan dropped his pack and yanked out a portable transmitter. Can it still work? Emily whispered. It has to. Static burst from the speaker, then a faint voice. Respond. Emergency. Identify. Relief flickered in Emily's eyes. They hear us. Before Ethan could answer, Dakota growled. Shadows moved along the ridge. 4 mercenaries emerged, and behind them, Marcus Hale himself. Tall, broad-shouldered, frighteningly composed, dark hair trimmed short, clean-shaven jaw, sharp as ice. His metallic gray eyes held no remorse. I should have known a ghost like you would drag her out of the grave, Walker. Ethan stepped forward, placing himself between Hale and Emily. You want her? You'll have to go through me. Hale chuckled. Always the hero. The first mercenary fired. Snow exploded near Ethan's boots. Emily dropped to one knee, ignoring the scream in her ribs, raised the sidearm Ethan had given her, and fired. The mercenary fell. Ranger barked fiercely. Dakota lunged, snapping at another attacker's leg. Gunfire lit the night. Ethan returned fire, hitting a second mercenary, but Hale moved with deadly grace, circling behind cover. Hale stepped out, rifle aimed at Ethan's head. End of the line! Emily screamed. Ranger lunged. Then the air split with a deafening roar. A police helicopter burst through storm clouds, searchlight blazing. The mercenaries scattered, blinded. Hale staggered back. Federal unit! A loudspeaker boomed. Drop your weapons! Hale's eyes narrowed with fury. He turned toward Ethan, but Ethan didn't hesitate. He lunged forward, slamming his shoulder into Hale's chest. They struggled in the snow, 2 men carved by violence. Ethan struck hard. Hale's weapon skidded across snow. Then Hale slipped. His body hit the ground with a heavy thud. Armed officers rappelled down, securing the scene. Emily was lifted onto a rescue harness. Ranger kept at her side. Ethan was pulled up last, Dakota tucked under a rescuer's arm. As the helicopter rose into brightening dawn, Emily reached for Ethan's hand. You saved my life. And maybe more than just mine. Ranger rested his head on Ethan's leg, closing his eyes with weary trust. Sometimes survival looks too perfect to be coincidence. God puts the right people in the right place, right when the world thinks we've run out of chances. Maybe the miracle was how 3 lives, broken in different ways, found each other in the middle of a storm that should have ended them. If you're watching this today, whatever storm you're facing, may God's protection surround you. May He guide your steps, strengthen your spirit, and remind you that no fall is ever the end of your story. If this touched your heart, please share it. Leave a comment and subscribe so more people can feel the warmth of hope and faith. May God bless you, your family, and every loyal companion who walks beside you. Amen.